Hi, everyone. Manahu. Inanine Karma Henry. Ninum. Ihim Paihunadu. Independence, California. Ihim Italy, Portugal. Kimadu Duas. Santa Fe, New Mexico. We Novidu. New Tiagadu. Hi, everyone. My name's Karma Henry. I am Paiute. My family is from Owens Valley, Independence, California, and also Italy and Portugal. I live in Santa Fe, New Mexico now, and I'm a painter. I attended CSUN and graduated in, 2007. And I also went to Otis College of Art and Design for my MFA and graduated in 2010. Wow, seems like a long time ago when I say it out loud. I'm going to pop some slides on, and then I'll just talk to you about where I've been and where I've ended up. So here we go. So this is my native side of the family. This is 4 generations of us. I'm the little one. My father's the guy with the mustache. His mom is in the pink, and her mom, my great-grandmother, is sitting opposite me. I was not brought up in a Native household. I knew about the Native side of my family, but due to the joys of familyhood, we didn't talk about it a lot. That didn't come till much, much later. But they are always my inspiration when I'm embracing that element of my Native side. And this is my grandmother and I in front of the cabin she grew up in on the reservation. In my 20s, I started going there. I went there a lot as a kid, and we talked about a lot of different things. That her mom was a beater. Her great grandmother also made baskets, and it didn't really get passed down to her, but the stories did. And then she passed down those stories to me. And that kind of informed my life at CSUN in the American Indian Studies program. And then later my work in the art department there. I was taking all of that information and turning it into all the papers I was writing and all the art I was making. This is graduation time with my family. This was the first time some of us had really been together, because I was the first one in the family to graduate from college, which was a really big deal for them. And it was a lot of fun. Then I went on to Otis after my senior year. All my professors saying to me, "Hey, where are you going to go to college? Where are you going to go to grad school?" And it had never really occurred to me that was something I would do. I was in college and happy to be there. So I got into Otis and I was super excited, making my art, trying to figure it all out. And then voila, in the middle of my first year of grad school, found out a little one was on the way. And so that changed my trajectory a little bit, but I still took her with me to the studio. She got a whole year of grad school before she was even walking. So, it works out pretty good. And in 2010, I graduated, not with a big direction, but I had a better idea of things I wanted to do. But as also a new mom who was at that time 37, 38, I was grappling with all sorts of social issues and being mom and trying to figure out the whole graduation thing and what do you do after school. The only thing I knew, the only constant I knew was I just had to keep making art. And so as I was raising my daughter, we were going to the reservation. We were hearing the stories. We were playing with paint and crayons, and my art kind of stalled a little bit, but I was still storing all that information. I was still keeping it active, trying my hardest to, figure it all out, because as a student, you're always trying to figure it all out. And then after meeting some different people on my travels, I ended up going to Yosemite in 2015, and I took a basket making workshop with Julia Parker and her daughters. And it was an amazing experience. I heard more stories about our people and their people traveling along the Numapoyo, along the trail from our lands to theirs. I was learning things that apparently my great grandmother had known, and I never got to learn from her. And it was really it was a very profound experience. I took a lot of imagery, a lot of photography, sketches. I went gathering for natural materials, and I was kind of trying to figure out how to pop that into my practice. I really wasn't sure. And right about this time, my husband, who's a cartographer, was traveling to Santa Fe a lot for work, and I joined him on a trip and got my first taste of Santa Fe, museums, art, and specifically Native art. It was the place to be, and it kind of started me thinking about my work differently. So I took all of this experience and really started thinking, what am I going to do? And right about the same time this happened, I was elected vice chairman for my tribe. I was asked by some friends and family, hey, we think you should run. You're educated, you're doing your own thing. And I thought, okay. And so in the middle of all this, of me being a new mom and me trying to figure out my art practice, suddenly I was thrust into what does my tribe need? And it changed my perspective completely. There were things I never knew about, things that I didn't want to know about. And at the same time, again, I'm trying to build my practice. And so in those travels to Santa Fe, I had met some fellow artists, and one in particular was Melissa Malero Moose. And she started a group, Great Basin Native Artists. And it's a group for artists of the Great Basin who were underrepresented. We were not in museums or art galleries. Work was not being seen or only shared with immediate family. And so she began this incredible project of gathering everybody into this group. And because I met her in Santa Fe and she knew where my family was from, we started talking, and I became involved in the group. And I showed with her at the Heard Museum Indian Market in Phoenix, Arizona. And it was the first of many shows that I have done with the group. In fact, we have another one coming up soon. But because of meeting her, I looked again at the art practice completely differently, because her goal was to make her art, but also bring everybody along with her that wasn't getting their work seen. Because as an artist, your first struggle is making the work. The second struggle is getting it seen by everybody. And sometimes you just need movers and shakers to get your foot in the door. And she was that for me. She became my mentor and my friend by showing how you can get all this work done. And it was a pretty amazing experience. And our first really big show as a group was at UC Davis at the Gorman Gallery. And by this time, my daughter's 6 or 7. So it was a big deal for her to see my work in a museum and just experience that, because she got to see me struggling late at night trying to get these painted and beaded. All of these works here in the picture have beadwork on them. And it was an epic adventure in getting it done. It was also through this exhibition that I gave my first artist talk and had a full-fledged panic attack before, but I got through it because as an instructor or a teacher or an artist or somebody that just has to talk to other people like in real life, that was a big deal, but I got past it. it was quite the family experience, but again, because it was a group experience, it just pushed my work a little bit different. And then a few years later, after I had done some markets, I finally got my first artist in residency. And I spent a couple of amazing weeks in Ajo, Arizona, Southern Arizona. And basically, I got to go and have this incredible studio space, a place to sleep. The Sonoran Desert is extremely beautiful. It's a night sky place, so you get to actually see the stars. It was just this incredible experience. And while I was there, I got to tour around, and Ajo was there because of a old school copper mine. And this is it's fenced off. You can't go because obviously it's extremely poisonous, but this is the actual mine pit. And it was the basis of the town. So while I'm there exploring, I'm looking up, and these are called the Four Angels. And these were the residences of the doctors for the mining town. So they looked down over everything. And every night I'd take a walk and I would see these houses. And at this point, I'm thinking, I don't know what I'm going to paint while I'm here. I have this incredible studio. There's also another visiting artist. He's from New Zealand, Teatwe Renuri, and he is a weaver. So we were still trying to figure out all the things we were going to do. And then it hit me that one of the things I do in my just everyday life and in my practice is I take a lot of sky photos, clouds, stars, whatever is up there. So it's kind of like a side hobby. And I thought, I think I'm going to just paint what I'm looking at, because I hadn't done it literally since I was at CSUN. So I started walking around the town, and the hospital and the plaza downtown had these architectural elements. And I thought it was really interesting to me because I noticed them, and even people that had lived there didn't really notice them. When I asked a few residents, they thought I was nuts. And then they said, oh yeah, I see that. So I futzed around and made a little mini landscape and thought, I wonder if this will do anything. And I took those elements, those architectural elements, and I made an overlay on top. And I just wanted to see what would happen. I was not really sure how this was going to work for me. And I laid out the vinyl with way too much math, which as an art major, I can tell you was mind-boggling, and painted over. And then this is me in the studio space removing all the vinyl. And that's my end product. And it was something completely different from anything I had worked on prior. So I thought about it for a while, and I ended up making a few more pieces while I was there, and messing around with the idea of landscape painting and the idea of the copper leaching into the ground. I really was experimenting, which is the brilliance of a residency, that unless you go in and with a full-fledged project in mind, you have that opportunity to just experiment with your practice, which is a gift unto itself. And this is Teatwe and I, they had an exhibition at one of the local galleries, and these were the pieces I finished while I was there. It was a culmination of a couple of weeks of just intense work in the studio. My family was not with me, so I had the opportunity to go back and really work at what I was doing, trying these different ideas. I really wasn't sure where it was going to take me, but by getting that paint on the canvas, by making those ideas happen, then it just pushed me a little bit further. And I took, like I did in Yosemite, I took tons of photos. So when I got home, I had so much material to work with. And this picture and photo in particular, I just really liked it. And I thought, maybe I'll make a painting out of that. So I messed around a little bit more and ended up making this first piece, which was after I got back home. And I started to realize that in my own practice, I was shifting away from simple imagery that I was doing before with beadwork on it to, oh, look, wow, I think I'm a landscape painter, which made me laugh. And my family laughed at me because that's all I ever buy really are nightscapes, skyscapes. I buy a lot of landscape artwork by people or sci-fi. So to see my practice like do a complete 380 and I go, oh, wow, look, I actually did that. Was really kind of exciting because I don't think I would have made that leap in my practice if I hadn't have done the residency. This piece went on to be collected by the Department of Interior Museum. And I was like, wow, amazing. I was just so happy that I finally was doing something that I enjoyed again. It wasn't work so much. And then I went back to all those photographs I did in Yosemite and thought, well, let's apply what I did on that previous Arizona series and I'll redo some Yosemite work. And I thought, well, I'm not really sure what I want to do. So I just got literal that I was there doing a basket workshop. So I had taken a quick snap of Half Dome while I was there. And I started thinking about Half Dome. And then I literally was looking through a Pendleton catalog and saw the Pendleton Half Dome blanket. And I laughed and thought, well, that's it. That's what I'm going to do. And I made Half Dome. So I made an entire series based on literally basket weaving and the photographs that I took there. And this particular painting changed things for me because I realized I wanted to see more of what was behind there than what you see on top. And so again, I had to mess around with the way my practice was moving, experimenting. I did a lot of experimenting, but unfortunately, right about that time, we were all at home on Zoom for the first time during the pandemic. So my studio practice pretty much came to a screeching halt for a little while because then I became, head Zoom tech person for my daughter for school. But the highlight, if I could say, of all of that was that I was able to start taking language classes with my daughter that I was never able to take before because we were all doing everything online at the start of the pandemic. And I had started this particular painting of a woman next to a grinding rock, probably right when I got back from Yosemite, and it just sat in a corner in my studio for literally a couple of years. And then in the process of this class, we were making stories, and I made up a story about the woman who puts the stars in the sky. And this painting, which had been sitting in the corner, yelled at me and said, you need to finish me. And so I wrote the story. My instructor and I translated it into Paiute. And then this painting was born. And then I realized, oh yeah, I forgot how much I like to paint the sky. And then my practice took off yet again. And it takes time. I mean, sometimes you have to sit with stuff for a while. It's kind of funny how that all works out. I mean, it all comes back in the end. And while the pandemic was happening, I was still keeping in touch with some of the people that I had met in Santa Fe. And I had been applying for fellowships and residencies repeatedly, dutifully every year for certain ones. And then I applied in 2020 for a residency, and they called me and said, you didn't make the cut, but we want you to reapply because we're going to have more funding next year. And I said, okay, great. And then, lo and behold, last year I got a residency in Santa Fe, one of my favorite places, at the Institute of American Indian Arts. And I was ecstatic, freaked out because it was still pandemic level activity. But I had a studio to myself for a month. I had a place to lie my head at night. I had places to go and hike. I mean, I was just in just heaven, because as an artist, just having the space and the time to do your work is, man, that's just an amazing, amazing thing. And I was so, so excited. I mean, wow, another residency, yay. So I went out hiking, and I started thinking about prior stuff, the Arizona work, the Yosemite work, and started taking photographs of everything. And this is over Cerrillos, New Mexico, another little mining town. And I started painting some of the landscapes I was drawing, except this time the overlaid imagery was going to be from pottery from each specific area, because I was in a place that was not my home. So I started doing research in the library. I started going to the museums and trying to find out what came from where and what type of geometric designs am I going to use. And you see the before and after of these pieces here. And I was excited because it was like, wow, this whole new experience of getting it was like being back in school, having the opportunity to go out, see things, photograph them, go to the museums, go to the libraries, discover all the different ways you can reinterpret that as an artist. And driving home near the end of my residency, I looked over and I saw the sky, and I thought, oh my God, I got to take a picture. And pulled off I'm literally on the highway, pulled off and took this photo and thought, I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but I'm totally using it. So I got back to the studio. I had about a week left, I think. And this was the finished product. Again, so thrilled to be able to do something completely different than I was doing before, yet still in the same vein. Using things that were acknowledgement of where I was at physically, but also using the photography that I like taking pictures of. I was having so much fun doing this that again, because I had so many photographs, I still have like so much material that I can use to create more work for me, which is, believe me, a fantastic thing. And I was really sad to see Santa Fe in my rearview mirror pretty soon. I was working on these paintings here. Whoops, I hit the button. These two I didn't complete while I was in Santa Fe. I had them started. But again, you only have so much time. Schlepped these home back to California and completed this fellow here, which was, I was so pleased with this one. And this one ended up in the collection at Mokna. And I was pleased as punched on that one as well. It was fun to just experiment and keep trying the different things. This one here, I used basically forms on basketry and pottery. And it took me, I think this painting wise, probably took me a month to complete because I worked on it a little bit at a time. The stencils took me 2 days to apply and a whole nother day to remove. I mean, it was very labor intensive, but I felt so good when I got it done because it was the final piece of my residency. And for me, that was when I started thinking about it, and I looked at my husband and I said, I think I need to be in Santa Fe. And so we figured out a way, and we hustled and did crazy stuff. And now I will have a studio in Santa Fe in a couple of weeks. And it's been quite a ride. We had originally planned on retiring here, but we just decided let's go for it. So he still works in California, but I'm here working so that I can do the things I want to get done. When we got here, Indian Market for Santa Fe is in August, and it's the biggest art market of the year. We have all our friends are here. It was fun to see all the artwork because that's the important part, getting to see it as well as maybe buy it. It really, it's kind of like the biggest art party of the year for us. And this particular piece I finished after I got back from my residency and went on to win a ribbon. And I was completely shocked because it was just, again, doing something you love, doing something you get the opportunity to do and do professionally and do well is extremely satisfying. And it validated all those years of trying to get your assignments done, trying to do new things, trying to do something different from everybody else. It's an amazing experience. And because of my residency at IAIA, it changed the way I thought about my practice yet again. And having the opportunity to work through the year and get to market the following year and actually get here to be a resident changed my trajectory quite a bit. And at the same time, because I'm here now, I've had more opportunities in the last 4 months than I've had probably in the last 4 years. Because you have to go where your career is going to take you. And instead of just coming here once a year, I'm here now. And I'm able to meet the people, interact with the other artists, be exposed to how everybody else is doing something. And it takes its toll. It builds up and you get the opportunity to try all these new things. I think for me, as an artist, you get the opportunity to collaborate with people and be a part of, revisit things that you have done before. I have a whole series of work that I did for part of that UC Davis show that I'm actually going to revisit and recreate, but in a completely different way. So you're always reinventing yourself. You're always moving forward, always challenging yourself. And that's what makes your art get pushed forward. This is a piece I made right after we moved here. I'm currently set up in my little dining room area of my little apartment because I don't have my giant studio anymore. So I was literally running around trying to get photos and hit the museums and try to duplicate stuff so that I could create more work while I was here. And it was exceptionally challenging. I'm looking forward to having a new studio space soon so that I can work bigger, which would be incredibly amazing. And I find now that in my work, because I was able to embrace and learn our language, and I will be forever learning it, I'm starting to use that in my work as well. A lot of my titles now are in Paiute and then in English as well, translated. So it's an amazing experience to be able to start one place, push yourself, get to another, push yourself, get to another, and keep creating that work. When I started CSUN, I had no idea what I was going to do, where I was going to go, how I was going to make it all work. It was like one little tiny class experiment after another. And by building those skills and then meeting all the different people slowly over time, I was able to do all the different things that I did up to this point. And if it hadn't have been for all the different people I met as I was experimenting and trying all this, I probably wouldn't have gotten as far, and I probably wouldn't be in New Mexico now. It's really amazing to me that you can push yourself forward as far as this goes. And I hope that all these students here that are in the art department, you're going to get there. You just got to put in the time. And people always say it to you, right? Just put in the time, you'll get there. It's the same thing academically. Do the research, take the time, get to know what you're studying, get to know yourself. And that's what I did. By doing all those things, it pushed me farther. And I got to where I am today because of all of that. And I'm extremely grateful for that, because if it weren't for all the people pushing me, I could have not gotten as far as I have today. And that's where I am now. Santa Fe, New Mexico. Couple of weeks, I'll have another studio up and running, and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to working really big. Maybe a wall or two. And that's kind of it today. I have my website and then the website for Great Basin Native Artists. Everything always gets updated every so often of new things going on. There will be a big project coming soon in January, but it's not ready yet. So you just have to wait and see.